Welcome to Secrets to Win Big with Arjun Sen. Today, it's my pleasure to share a 5-minute podcast highlight of my conversation with Agni Sen, an emerging thought leader, a 14-year-old, and my conversation with him really changed my point of view, learnings in quite a few areas in life. All through life, I've always looked at leader to be someone whose one line or action makes you pause and think and say, why did I not think about it? And that is the beginning and the start of an incredible journey. That one completely changes your world. You start seeing things differently and you start operating at a totally different level as you discover a new, higher new. And that is the power of one line from a leader. Yes, I'm a little biased. This 14-year-old is my nephew. And one of the biggest things in this journey of Secrets to Win Big, these podcasts, has been this reward of this podcast with Agni Sen. And here are 6 nuggets I want to present in front of you from this conversation. And see for yourself how each one of these make you go, and it changes your world completely. First and foremost, Agni talked about the difference between smart and responsible is knowing where to use your knowledge and what it can do in the real world. I'm 56 years old. When I grew up, education was about what I knew, and I scored better if I knew more than others. In today's world, it's not about what you know, because what you do not know, if you can access that information faster, the world is an open book test. So what Agni talked about is knowing where to use your information and what it can do to the real world is the power. And between the time I went through school and the world of Agni, here's a huge difference. The second one is my personal favorite, and this impacted me the most. The key to success is to have different milestones from the rest. Think. If you and I are running a race, you are highly efficient. You may need water breaks every 4 miles. Arjun is huffing and puffing. It's okay for Arjun to pause every mile, look back and say, hey, I'm doing good. 1 mile done, 1 more to go. Because the milestone you choose based on your need. Each one of us is different. If you have twins, both of those do not need diaper change at the exactly same time. They have their own diaper milestones at different times. And this was incredibly unique for me and important for me because this told me, Arjun, in any project, find your own milestones, be different. The milestones are my reinforcement. Number 3, every small motion which is complicated when you combine becomes an overall activity. I'm still figuring this out, okay? But I get part of it. It's the steps. Lend those steps. Even though sometimes it's difficult to take the first step, the second step, the third step, and the final step all together gets you across. And you're all of a sudden in a new area, new land, which you have never been before. Number 4, it doesn't matter if people are aware of the problem if they still don't do anything about it. In consulting, so many times we put so much emphasis on problem identification. Sometimes I really think I really do not want to know what is ahead if I don't have resources to deal with it. Because once you know, now you have an extra headache. If you don't solve for it, it becomes an extra barrier in the journey ahead. So it's not about thinking, it's about what you do once you find the problem. Number 5, this is when he and his team, they went to a robotics competition. They did fare too well. And initially I was even hesitating asking the question, but he said, no, ask me the question. And I was amazed by his positive attitude and how he came across answering the question. And at the end, when he shared, no one to coach or guide you, no problem. Self-learn as you go along. There are 2 things to take from this. Once, his calmness and confidence when he looked back, no regrets. And of course, the second thing, when you listen to the podcast, we listen to how coolly only Agni Sen can pull off the no problem. I can't. Finally, don't pass something in inheritance that cannot be repaired. This conversation started when we were talking about global warming. And that's the time all of a sudden, or maybe even before in the conversation between us, who is the adult and who is younger, changed, because I look at information flows from high to low, and as his information was flowing from him to me, he was the wiser soul in that conversation. And he put things in perspective. He said, I know you adults have not taken care of this planet. You could have done better. We will take care of it. But at least when you make sure when you give it back, hand it over to us, you don't mess it up to a point it cannot be repaired. I get it. And I just think this is very important, absolutely, for the environment. But this also is very important for transition in every aspect of business and life. So this conversation with Agni Sen has really been a life-changing experience for me. And here is a thought I have for each one of you. There is an Agni Sen in your life. For some reason, because of age, of maybe not corporate success or anything else, you are missing out on the opportunity to learn from this person. Without this podcast, I may not have ever had the opportunity to sit with Agni for an hour, not hour, 35 minutes, and learn. And that has changed my life. And you will love this podcast. And I don't use love without meaning it. Enjoy listening. Please subscribe to the podcast at Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or anywhere else you choose, or at zenmango.com. Happy listening.